A new selection of miscellaneous pieces, in verse. A new selection of miscellaneous pieces, in verse. By Christian Grey, blind from her infancy, in Milton, parish of Aberdalgie, Perthshire. Hail, holy light! Offspring of heaven firstborn, asterisk 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 asterisk. The eye revisit safe, and feel thy sovereign vital lamp, but thou revisit'st not these eyes, that roll in vain to find thy piercing ray, and find no dawn, asterisk asterisk asterisk. Yet not the more cease I to wander where the muses haunt. Milton's Paradise Lost, Book 3. Perth, printed for the author, by R. Morrison. 1821. To the ladies, those kind patronesses, who have honored my former and present little work, with their disinterested and generous support, the following pieces are most respectfully dedicated, being the only way of expressing the gratitude which will ever be felt by their much obliged, and very humble servant, the author. Preface. Whatever may be the nature, or design of the work itself, no one, I am persuaded, has ever offered a book to the public without indulging a wish that it should be prosperous, and its influence beneficial. My motives in publishing this little volume are pure, and may be laudable, but it must be allowed they are not altogether disinterested. While I earnestly trust that it may prove an humble source of gratification to those whose benevolence has induced them to befriend me, I pretend not to suppress the desire that it may become the means of contributing to cheer the downward days of my lonely life. The greater part of these verses was composed at an early period of my life, at a time when the human mind is most susceptible of being deeply impressed by its own ideas, or by the influence of surrounding objects. My artless rhymes indeed may not excite a very powerful interest in the hearts of others, but, in my own, on account of the circumstances and recollections from which they originated, they have long been cherished with the complacency and fondness of affectionate regard. About 12 years ago, a selection of my pieces was given to the public, and under the active patronage of my well-wishers, met with a reception far beyond what my most sanguine hopes could ever have anticipated. Others which, on that occasion, were not required, I have now brought to recollection, and revised with care, and welcomed with the partiality which we naturally devote to an old friend, whose society has often been agreeable, amusing, or instructive. Several of them are of a more recent date. These were composed at intervals subsequent to a protracted illness which nearly exhausted my debilitated frame, and impaired the remaining energies of my mind, while, from the same cause, I was more than usually confined within doors, and thereby deprived of the advantages of friendly instruction. Their subjects are drawn from occurrences which, in a particular manner, interested my own feelings. I have therefore endeavored to express those feelings in language descriptive of the impression left by them on my own heart. Such then, as they and the others are, they are my best, and I cast them, with respectful diffidence, on the benevolence of the world, and hope that they may be judged solely as the simple effusions of an unpolished mind. Having a strong presentiment that I shall never more address myself to public attention, I would embrace this last, and to me, important opportunity, of declaring my deep sense of gratitude and respect for those generous individuals by whose kindness my solitude has been enlivened, and my comforts promoted. My heart derives a melancholy gratification from the discharge of this affecting duty, and it is sad, but satisfied, when wishing my readers every happiness, I bid them farewell. Christian Grey. Milton of Aberdalgie, Perthshire, 1821. Contents. Page dedication, 3 preface, 5 lines addressed to the E. L. of K. L. 13 anecdote of Alexander, Emperor of Russia, 19 lines composed on receiving a letter, 25 lines on receiving an unexpected present, 30 stanzas to the memory of a gentleman, 34 a sonnet, 39 to a young lady, 41 on receiving a descriptive poem, 44 a letter to a friend in a great town, 48 a letter to my nephew, 58 a letter to a gentleman farmer, 63 on laying an old petticoat beside a good one, 66 on visiting a faded flower, 69 a fact recorded in the Evangelical Magazine, 83 a complaint to poesy, 88 versification of Ossian's address to the moon, 96 Balclutha's ruins, from Ossian, 99 an extract from Ossian, 102 a petition to a medical gentleman, 104 lines composed in the time of war, 107 Sibella, a metrical tale, 109 song, on leaving the country for the town, 129 song, in answer to I'm wearin' owa jean, 132 song, farewell to Perth, 134 song, in answer to Oh Nanny wilt thou gang, and c. 137 Evening Reflections, 140. Miscellaneous pieces, in verse. To the right Han, the E, L of K, L, on is granting me the neat cottage which I now inhabit. Neat is the cottage reared for me upon this rising bank. I'll send my handmaid, Poesy, to Duplin Castle on her knee, the noble Earl to thank. Lest wrong my messenger betide, or lest she should offend, a guardian for her I'll provide, and to his kindness her confide, poor nymph she needs a friend. Will Mr. L. then introduce my handmaid into view? Perhaps his lordship won't refuse to hear, for once, a Hamlet muse who sings with deference due, tell how I prize this cottage bower, commodious, new, and clean, near where my swaddling clothes I wore, where long my fathers dwelt before, which more endears the scene. My ancestors are passed away, so families fail apace, and soon at latest comes the day, when with myself the name of Grey will vanish from this place. Here bushes, braes, and rocks remind of childhood's happy days, when playful, midst companions kind, I scrambled up, or leaned reclined on yonder crag's rough base. Where dashing falls the proud cascade, oft when a message sent, so long I there have listening strayed, that mother's orders disobeyed, brought fear of punishment. Wild berries, nut, or jetty slow, would tempt my venturous feet to climb, where hazardous to go, and when my own hand stripped the bough, I deemed them doubly sweet. So springtime of my life did run, to kind indulgence est, if I my lessons did not shun, though other tasks were poorly done, 'twas winked at and excused. For oft in languid health I pinned, which parents viewed full sad, and wandering, freedom I did find adown yon den, where shrubs, entwined with flowers of summer, spread. Though since much altered is my lot, and that in many ways, these times oft fill a passing thought, to banish dull reflection, sought, a dream of early days. Now smoothly gliding down the dell, my native streamlet flows, and when its waters rushing swell, the distant din will please me well, and lull me to repose. This is the very, very place, that's to my heart most dear, for which warm thanks I would express, though sent, indeed, in sorry dress, yet not the less sincere. On some green spot, in weather fair, I'll sit in sober mood, and when I breathe my native air, that blessing I will thankful share, and think it does me good. This close-built cot, in coldest day, affords a warm retreat, and whether near or far away, I grateful wish your lordship may be blessed as well as great. An anecdote of Alexander, Emperor of Russia, recorded in a newspaper several years ago. Great Alexander, it is said, once conquered all the then known world, from clime to clime, with fury mad, war's desolating rage he hurled. Ambition thirsting still for blood, infatuated tyrant drove, to shed it in a sanguine flood, as if to extirpate man he strove. Though after ages hear his fame, preserved in history and in song, humanity detests his name, and all the war-delighted throng. At present I would sing of one, an Alexander of more worth, humanity's exalted son, the potent emperor of the north. A humble muse who never soared, nor e'er to sing of monarch tried, one royal action to record, counts both her pleasure and her pride. Famed Alexander, who doth sway the Russian Empire, large and broad, it chanked that lately on a day, at distance from his train he rode. It chanked, no. Providence did send, that hour, the emperor out with speed, to prove himself compassion's friend, and to perform a noble deed. He rode at distance from his train, for, innocent, no harm he feared, and deemed all heerd protectors vain, his people's love a surer guard. Out from a river's rapid force, he saw some peasants who conveyed, with toil, a seeming lifeless corse, which on the grassy bank they laid. Then all his sympathetic soul was moved with pity's keenest zeal, was moved at nature's kind control, as minds ignoble never will. The peasants looked with silent gaze, no farther service they can do, be active, Alexander says, and I myself will aid you too. Then quickly on the ground he stands, fast by the fatal river's verge, and riced the course with cautious hands, the oozing water to discharge. Just then his whole attendants came, the sight, no doubt, surprised them all, their sloth he stops not once to blame, but loudly does a doctor call. Physician he of skill approved, from famed Britannia's distant isle, he was the emperor's friend beloved, and sprung with haste to share his toil. An artery quick was opened now, in hopes that wound might life restore, but no blood from thence would flow, 'twas even more hopeless than before. Yet still the emperor persevered, inspurred with kind philanthropy, and patient, all about him cheered, that yet they might successful be. And still his temples gently chafed, and still rubbed all his body o'er, for 2 whole hours he nothing left untreed that might the man restore. At last life's current flowed anon, and from the wounded vessel streamed, and now he faintly breathes a groan, then his preserver glad exclaimed, O God! This is the brightest day of all my reign, of all my life. Such bliss will generous bosoms I from truly noble deeds derive. His handkerchief was rent in haste, as bandage for the wounded part, a trifle added to the rest, which spoke the goodness of his heart. O Russia! Of thy monarch boast, who well deserves the world's thanks, be not his bright example lost, but may it influence all ranks. Ye Russian subjects I the throne, correct your manners, harsh and wild, copy your emperors, hate your own, 'twill make the rudest of you mild. Lines composed on receiving a letter from a young friend. Dear little nephew, with delight I heard your letter read, with pleasure heard them praise your right, no wonder I was glad. At 6 years old you write so well, but vain I must not be, experience many a tale can tell, to check and humble me. Yet present good I ought to prize, will hope good things to come, storms do not always cloud the skies, nor veil them with deep gloom. 'Tis gratifying to receive lines from a friend so young, our family's representative, posterity among. Our line, for 3 full centuries past, resided in this place, yourself, dear boy, was born the last, and stopped a little space. No wealth, nor fame, nor costly toys, to you through lineage run, but let its virtues be your choice, and all its failings shun. Plains lie, hills rise, waves roll between you and your natal spot, when scarce 'tis known we here have been, our place and race forgot. That after time, yon aged stone, down in the green churchyard, perhaps you'll visit, all alone, where are our sires interred, low sunk amid surrounding grass, like Rhino's tomb of old, and roughly framed, and clad with moss, it long has marked the mold, that forms our kindred's narrow bed, if any cause directs you there, a pensive tear to shed, o'er time and its effects. Blessed be the occasion of your stop, the thoughts that move your heart, blessed means, vain folly's growth to lop, and wisdom's plants to impart. Oh! Deem not these ideas vain, for love inspires the theme, my only brother's only child, you bear my father's name. In many a sense I hold you mine, by many ties endeared, you've led me, in my bosom lain, my lonely moments cheered. The lisping prattle of your tongue, thrills pleasant in my thought, and all your little ways, when young, fresh in my memory float. And oh! May he, whose special care did guard you then from harm, be with you still, shall be my prayer, whilst life this heart doth warm. His providence did us prevent, from every hurtful thing, as if an angel had been sent, to shield us with his wing. Oh! Early learn his name to fear, the holy name of God, him honor, trust, obey, revere, whilst earth is your abode. And when from hence you must remove, how shortly none can tell, you'll see his gracious face in love, and in his presence dwell. Lines on receiving an unexpected present. I place thee here, but have no name as yet, by which to see thee, yet thou art so high in my esteem, should ony wrang befall thee, I would be truly vexed indeed, but hope we ne'er shall sever, no, though I were in greatest need, sweet welcome little favor. A name for thee shall be proposed, of still more precious meaning, than that of which thou art compassed, though gold and ruby shining. Thy value shall not be impaired, for truth shall here define thee, 'twas generous pity, kind regard, between them did design thee. Kindness compared my present state why what she ance had kenned me, and tender pity mourned my fate, and bade the giver send thee. Lest I had thought at e'en or morn, and why a sigh reflected, that now, cause mair and mair forlorn, I therefore was neglected. While feeling in this breast is left, the proud shall ne'er despise thee, I'll see thee pity's parting gift, and then the good will prize thee less for thy beauty, than that name, I'm fain at being thy owner, and though midst perils, far frae hame is now the generous donor, not for thy sake, but for his own, him my best wishes follow, and may the task he's undertaken thrive like the watered willow. May wealth and honor on him smile, and goodness far above either, peace guide him back to his native isle, and safety waft him hither. Till then, oh, were his labors blessed, for Afric and for Britain, that prejudice might be dismissed, and us no longer haten. Trade's intercourse might prove a mean to amend their sad condition, for darkness, heavenly light be seen. 'Tis my sincere petition to him, who only knows the end of all from the beginning, may grace to them, even them extend, a willing people winning. Stanzas to the memory of a young gentleman who died abroad. The mournful occasion of the following stanzas, which happened soon after the preceding piece was composed, shews the uncertainty of human hope, and the impotency of all human wishes, but it becomes his creatures to humble themselves under the mighty hand of God, without repining at his dispensations, who doth not afflict willingly nor grieve the children of men, but for wise and gracious purposes, and what we know not now we shall know hereafter. God is his own interpreter, and he will make it plain. Cooper. There is a bed beyond the main, where sleeps a generous youth in peace, far distant from his kindred's ken, the lonely place. He left his home at honor's call, and hurried on to win her bays, but death commissioned, marked his fall, ere half his days. At least sound health, and manhood's bloom, intrepid mind and spirits bright, him promised many days to come, to our dim sight. But in this transitory state, man's highest hopes, below the skies, must all end thus, or soon or late, in here he lies. Where did his friends their leader leave? What kindly turf doth him embrace? Where orange branches mingling wave above the place, to screen from Afric's burning beams the shrubs and verdure newly sprung, where desert flowers like beauteous gems will blossom long. The monumental honors paid by friendship to his loved remains, by sons of Britain will be read, in mournful strains. For there, by friendly negroes led, inquiring travelers will be shown the stranger white man's lettered bed, from land unknown. 'Twill warn the youth, who or he be, who haply there may venturous roam, that hopeful, healthful, gay as he, soon found a tomb. Their rest is bones, yet feeling here, will view the spot in fancy's dream, and hold his memory truly dear, and love his name. Parental tenderness will feel, in melting woe, a kind relief, and time will ease though never heal the wound of grief. Let sisterly affection flow, it calms the heart, and 'tis a debt which to a brother's love they owe, and to his fate. O'erpowering painful stretch of mind, fatigue and fever, all did meet, and death made cold a heart, as kind as ever beat. But sweetness mixes with the cup, who knows but heaven has called him home from draining many a bitter drop of ills to come. Now anxious fears are at an end, and hope's delightful visions lost all buried in a foreign land, sad Afric's coast. Like time its comforts fleeting prove, life's joys are here but shadowy bliss, found real in the world above, but not in this. A sonnet. The following sonnet was an early production, which memory, more faithful to her trust than was expected, has long preserved for me. It is here inserted as a memorial of Mrs. P.'s goodness, a small part of which was, that she taught me to knit stockings, and by means of that employment, I enjoyed more liberty of walking about in the open air, than I could otherwise have had, and which exercise contributed greatly to promote what share of health I possessed, but everything here is of a passing and changeable nature. I cannot now profit in that way, which was meant for my double benefit. My kind instructress has done with time and all its fleeting concerns. Dear madam, while I tread the verdant lawn, with heartfelt satisfaction and delight, whither by morning's mildest beauty drawn, or led by calm approach of sober night, can I forget that I that pleasure owe to you, but as the happy means regard of heaven's best earthly bliss to me below, for what, save peace, can be with health compared? I've known its loss, and therefore prize the more, its genial warmth enlivening all my frame, it cheers, recruits, does brighter thoughts restore, and under God from you these comforts came. True as the unbroken thread leads to the clue, so does your kindness lead my love to you. To a young lady who generously sent me a piece of gold coin, but concealed her name, one of my pieces having come into her hands before any of the rest were published. Dear Miss, what breast so cold as would not feel the kindness you so generous have shown, and since your name the lady did conceal, with grateful heart I thank you, fair unknown. Believe me, Miss, I'm gratified much more, that you felt pleasure from my humble lines, than to accept this present from your store, though 'tis the finest metal of the mines. I first compassed them with a heavy heart, for I was sad, nor small my cause of woe, yet time alleviates the keenest smart, though nothing can supply my loss below. Yet Providence to me is ever kind, the watchful care of heathen I daily note, soft sympathy in every breast I find, and many comforts gild my humble lot. Yes, very much I may be thankful for, though lonelier now than once, I have a home, have still both charity a little store, and hope I shall not want for time to come. This token of your kindness I receive, and will preserve with more than miser's care, and though even spent, in memory while I live, your generous goodness will be treasured there. Would, my young benefactress, I but knew, deign dearest miss to let me know your name, for soon a gift I mean to offer you, which to accept I will a favor deem. Meanwhile, dear lady, do not this despise, in rustic dress my grateful thanks I send, you have my feelings here without disguise, and must accept the present I intend. 1. The present intended is a copy of my verses proposed soon to be published. On receiving a descriptive poem from a young lady, to whom it was given for me, by the author. Thanks, sir, for this new token of goodwill, which by a kindly hand conveyed has been, it makes the greatest favor greater still, when pleasantly conferred like this I ween. Was it in labyrinths of a town immured, that thus your thoughts to rural scenes retired, while youth oft errs by dissipation lured, your better choice by wisdom was inspired? For this did many a vacant hour employ, but pleasant hours its progress to behold, soft recollections self-approving joy, were yours a theme so loved thus to unfold. And now a finished picture meets my view, which by the mental eye can be discerned, then with avidity I follow you, where pleasure may be found, or knowledge learned. Led where you please and trust me I will come, convinced of this you will not lead me wrong, shew each fair prospect round your early home, where with enthusiasts I you roved when young. Delightful scenery described with skill, described with feeling pleases every mind, sweet nature ever did, and ever will, admirers of her many beauties find. From yonder lofty eminence with you, I glance from sea to sea, the picture wide, but chief one landscape's charms invite my view, with uplands, woods, and valleys diversified. Each watered with its own blue winding stream, dear to many a swain and maid, and dear to you as an Elysian dream, its hills with all the warmth of youth portrayed. Its poet's work, its hero's deeds explored, with much research its various parts explained, by local notes with information stored, from ancient lore and modern language gained. Thanks, then, for this new token of goodwill, this flowery picture of your favorite scene, what so engaged your heart, your time and skill, to think not thrown away on one so mean, nor is it thrown away, for I will con, as when a little girl, its choicest lines, and oft your goodness by myself alone, will mind, when all the past my thought combines. May nature still for you her charms retain, and genius crown you with his favors rare, philanthropy within your bosom reign, religion's power and heavenly peace be there. May you, and she your friend, and only love, be happy long, and still in goodness grow, here blessed, hereafter may your bliss improve, when earth's dissolved, and time shall cease to flow. A letter to a friend in a great town. The following will not appear well connected at the beginning, a number of verses being omitted, as they cannot concern any one but he to whom they were originally addressed. What may be more generally useful are here inserted. Ever dear, with willing ear I beg you to attend, I would advise you to be wise, oh listen to a friend. Forgive a zeal that seeks your weal, no motive else have I, for that intent these lines are sent, not when to gratify. I know you're plagued midst follies vast, midst vice in every shape, where pleasure cries, with siren voice, and few her wiles escape. Let others riot, keep you all quiet, serene and pure within, your Maker fear, his laws revere, indulge no darling sin. One day in 7, devote to heaven, God's house of prayer seek, be what's there said in memory laid, for practice through the week. In dealing just, still true to trust, whatever others do, be truth sincere, and honor fair, the character of you. Oh to no man. What good you can with friendly zeal perform, let hasty ire your breast ne'er fire, though wronged, still passions storm. Judicious be in your choice, a real friend is rare, be kind to all, but try them well, your confidence who share. Vain empty pride, high scornfully wide, ne'er stoop to flatter it, but worth, where seen, in rich or mean, respect and imitate. Ne'er be so weak, as vaunting make proud self your darling song, let others praise, if there is cause, but never one's own tongue. Vain boasting must still raise disgust, where it applause expects, but solid sense learns diffidence, by seeing its own defects. Be by each fault in others taught, avoid the same through life, but to their hurt such ne'er report, thus keeping clear of strife. No word obscene, or oath profane, be by your lips expressed, nor even your ear approving hear, but from your soul detest. In reason's scale weigh matters well, when doubtful how to act, but ne'er in cause of goodness pause, nor virtuous motions check. All ill resist, do not assist in any guilty scheme, but count all foes who would propose to sully so your fame. The gaming board shun as a sword, that would assail your breast, haunts of the rude, like death elude, and drunkards bowl unblessed. In harmless joy your days employ, I would not have them dull, to some wise use, each spare hour choose, on pleasures rational. Lightsome as day with spirits gay, and sprightly temper even, join jocund mirth, with men of worth, but ne'er to excess driven. Good books at home, read in your room, when business will permit, these friends each night will bring delight, pursued by no regret. Your pillow pressed, then sweetest rest will every sense absorb, such as by guilt, can ne'er be felt, which vexing dreams disturb. A heart at ease, in virtue's ways, its portion here is peace, be that your aim, a worthier gem than George's crown doth grace. Fresh wholesome air, oft walk to share, from noise and nonsense steal, attend to health, without which, wealth will be of small avail. If fortune smile, oh let meanwhile, a giving God be blessed, though troubles low are, yet meek adore, and in your Maker trust. What Providence doth wise dispense, should by his friends be viewed, all sent in love, their hearts to prove, and working for their good. In every case, then humbly place, on high your confidence, use means, 'tis true, but grateful view, and own all help from thence. Frail erring man, do all he can merit make no plea, we at God's hand cannot command, his favors all are free. Free grace and love, oh! These improve, while in this lower clime, for all must end, as here we spend, use or abuse our time. One thing above all, one day we shall find to be needful most, and time misspent, we may repent, our precious moments lost. Time past, again we never can with prayers nor tears recall, and ere perhaps few days elapse, we low in dust may fall. No wisdom then we can attain, or knowledge in the tomb, each day we live doth warning give, that change may shortly come. Death at our side makes havoc wide, acquaintance not a few, some young and gay are called away, since I last spoke with you. Let us regard, and be prepared, more weaned from worldly toys, which naught can give, but us deceive with false and fleeting joys. The immortal mind is sure designed to rise above trifles here, still soaring higher, it should aspire to heaven, its native sphere. Below the skies, naught can suffice, the soul still feels a void, its loved abode is with its God, his presence full enjoyed. Look on this state so short of date, as trial for the next, through a Saviour's name make heaven your claim, be there your treasure fixed. Though we are weak, and wisdom lack, to our best interest blind, aid, wisdom, light, if sought aright, we graciously shall find. May heaven direct, and ne'er forsake, but bless my youthful friend, to life give charms, in death's alarms, peace, hope, and triumph send. A letter to my nephew after he had been ill, then residing in Perth. Dear G., when you these lines receive, some lovely day like this, then of your guardian friends ask leave, and if they answer, yes, with bow of thanks accept the boon, and then with playful glee, and lightsome step, come here at noon, to dine that day with me. But if your guardians answer, no, without complaint submit, what's proper for you best they know, and every way most fit. Returning health, relations kind, these blessings duly prize, and with a glad, but humble mind, let grateful thoughts arise, and trace them from a source divine, whence all our blessings flow, such feelings will your soul refine, true happiness to know. For in whatever state we are, 'tis comfort still to feel, we're under his almighty care, who orders all things well. Supported by his providence, preserved by his power, our hope is in omnipotence, both now and evermore. Not of this hope can us deprive, unless, O wicked thought, we gainst his tender mercies strive, and set his love at naught. Be then your youthful heart impressed with awe, nor so offend, but not with gloomy dread possessed, your Maker is your friend. When I beneath the sod lie pale, oh, may your days be spent, though lottate in life's humble vale, in pious calm content. Now spring with promised bounty crowned, unlocks her lovely stores, 'tis time to dress the spot of ground, that shall be called yours. When wintry storms retreat at last, afar to frozen seas, your seeds will spring and blossom fast, and scent the summer breeze. When flowers are beautiful to view, fields green, and fair the sky, then ask your friends to come with you, these beauties to enjoy. Though eggs or milk should be their fare, and bread of barley meal, with welcome, exercise, and air, such food will favor well. Though no rich dainties them await, them though exertion tire, the walk itself will be a treat, and health I hope they're higher. Postscript. Here an acquaintance from the north, a visit doth intend, you oft experienced his worth, he was the stranger's friend. A letter to a gentleman farmer, requesting a favor. Sir, just at a venture this freedom I took, and here, as it is a letter, excuse its design, its defects overlook, for the truth is, I could not do better. I will not address you in flattery's fine strain, which is at the best a mere bubble, but simply, and shortly, will try to explain the cause why I give you this trouble. Being born in this place, and brought up in my youth, by parents not rich, but respected, for honesty, industry, kindness, and truth, on whom some esteem was reflected. For whose sakes, this neighborhood, not then estranged, would have helped me, one or another, but now, one excepted, the tenants are chonged, who e'er knew my father or mother. Another, of late, to his farm bade farewell, on whom was the half of my leaning, and one overburdened will naturally fail, so now you may guess at my meaning. A favor from you this is sent to obtain, and for leave too, to beg a renewal, please grant me, at this time, and sometimes again, a cart to bring sticks home for fuel. No claim I can urge to your kindness at all, necessity made me invent this, and to Mrs. S. though my claim is but small, yet her I request to present this. And should she, sweet pleader, but give me her vote, these lines will, at least, not offend you, the favor I ask, be it granted or not, I wish, sir, that good may attend you. On laying an old petticoat beside a good one, which were both cut from the same piece of cloth. Do not thy sister poor despise, though now in such a plight, though she in rags beside thee lies, don't her condition slight. I'd have thee better manners taught, than such vain pride to shew, 'twas her misfortune, not her fault, that brought thy sister low. No difference wants you two between, and nice I could have made, but she has often hardships been, which made her sooner fade. In useful service she has spent, her beauty, strength, and prime, thou mayst be tarnished, burnt, or rent, at some unlucky time. No one though prosperous today, can tell tomorrow's lot, this thought must not be thrown away, though spoke to a petticoat. No, let me profit by the same, and make the advice my own, to bear in mind how frail I am, nor be to censure prone. Should error, change, decay, be proud, right reason answers, no, and man to these, howe'er endowed, is liable well below. Humility becomes us all, though seldom rightly learned, we should not boast when others fall, but pity, and be warned. On visiting a faded flower. Ah! Lovely flower, art thou already dead, thy freshness lost, and native fragrance fled? Fair once thou flourished on thy lowly stem, pleasing their sight and smell, who near thee came, I found thee then an infant blossom gay, why called so soon to witness thy decay? What sudden blast so sorely blighted thee? And what thy message or thy charge to me? Was it to tell me that in childhood so, my beauty too received a fatal blow? That fell distemper's unrelenting storm blighted its bloom, ere ripened into form? Yes, to my sorrow, 'twas the case I find, nor want such help to bring it back to mind, the casual remembrance claims a tear, but let me not long idly ponder here, a more important lesson thou hast brought, oft learned, but not remembered as it ought, then faded not in vain thy beauteous tint, for it has given one seasonable hint, reminded thoughtless me in whisper smooth, I too shall die, a most momentous truth, which recollection brings a serious train of mixed ideas to my busy brain. Day after day flies with unceasing speed, one day, how near I know not, is decreed, the utmost boundary of my mortal date, then death will summon to his awful gate, naught can from his commission stroke release, nature must yield within his cold embrace, nothing more sure, this mortal body must moulder and mingle with its kindred dust. But shall this thinking principle within, also a period have in death's domain? Must that more noble part its mansion quit, and then in common air evaporate? No. Such a thought appalls the human heart, and makes it doubly loath with life to part. We will but for a time be separated, to be in lasting union reunited. A soul immortal's given to my care, which weal or woe, with me shall endless share. Have trifles then such melancholy brought, or for a moment occupied my thought, that should on everlasting things be fixed, turn from this world and settle on the next? The fashion of this world shall pass away, the sun itself grow dim, and time decay, this whole terrestrial system have an end, then why upon such fleeting things depend, so empty in themselves, and transient, so fluctuating all that they present? For take this world, even at its best, suppose ourselves of all its good possessed, something is wanting, we are far from rest. Much in this world, it really matters not, was meanest of the mean my destined lot, external comforts, blessings are, I grant, and call for thanks to heaven, by whom they're sent, these in my station I have large enjoyed, though one great blessing is to me denied, even that, for some wise purpose is withheld, for real good these eyes from light are veiled, not from the effects of gloomy dull chagrin, disgust, or envy, but with mind serene. From vain amusements I would now depart, and while youth's ardor animates my heart, direct my thoughts to him who rules above, the spring of action and the source of love. But how affect the rational design, a God of love indeed, but is he mine? Am I obnoxious to his threatened ire? God out of Christ is a consuming fire. Our great apostasy from heaven at first, made its pure law declare us all accursed. God could not stoop to pardon an offense against his law, committed only once, and when its precepts we do daily break, in everything we think, or speak, or act, what can be done, for God will not forgive, unless full satisfaction he receive, that satisfaction is not in our power, and to attempt it we offend the more that Almighty Being is provoked, whose word expressly saith, he'll not be mocked. Infinite purity will ne'er be stained, but each perfection to the full maintained, then. Let not poor presumptuous mortals e'er approach to God, but by a Saviour dear, for he that formed them will no favour shew, but spurn them and their proffered service too. Such is our state, we only can expect acceptance, for a mediator's sake, mercy's God's darling attribute revealed, that justice also might be reconciled, that rebel subjects might have free access unto his gracious favour. He no less than parted with a dear and only Son, who cheerful undertook the cause alone. Here admiration fills the musing mind, heaven's uncreated heir his place resigned, his Father's bosom for a season left, offered himself a voluntary gift, the worlds unknown, unnumbered, by his hand were formed, sustained, and aureoled by his command. Though seraph choirs with adoration praised, and round his throne celestial music rised, though of such glory, of such bliss possessed, as could not be augmented nor decreased, though happy in himself he could have been, had all this world sunk underneath its sin, yet came to shew even with his latest breath, a love divine that stronger was than death. When vain was every scheme man could invent, lost threats to mitigate or to prevent, that great days, man stood forward in the breach, did what, nor men, nor angels e'er could reach. That for the work he might be qualified, veiled his divinity, not laid aside, stepped in a willing substitute, and gave all that a violated law could crave, essential dignity in him at once did its demands and threatenings both silence, obeyed its precepts, paid its penalty, and thus the law did highly magnify. Yes, law and justice to the full are pleased. Offended deities in him appeased. Hence all our hope, that God will us accept. The only way we can his wrath escape. But heavy will his hot displeasure fall on all who hear, yet slight the gospel call, then shudder daring infidelity, for heavy, heavy will it fall on thee, the measure of your wickedness is full, for ye not only slight but ridicule. What Christ said to the Pharisees, self-wise, methinks most fitly now to you applies, you will not enter mercy's open door, and what still aggravates your crime the more, to hinder others who would enter there, have laid a stumbling block, a deadly snare. Gainst all that's sacred and divine have set your impious talents to obliterate, and make a board of all that heaven designed, to cheer in every woe the drooping mind. But vain such foolish impotent efforts. Omnipotence itself the whole supports. Let not your hearts admit a single doubt, his real friends, for he will sure make out his word, and promises, concerning you, nor fail in one, if truth itself be true. Exalt him in your hearts higher and higher, let God be true, and every man a liar, who dares to question with effrontery broad, the being, or veracity of God. Nor fear his burning wrath should on them break, in whom even devils do believe and quake. The Lord enthroned in highest heaven shall laugh, exalted far above atheistic scoff, and justly doth in indignation say, vengeance belongs to me, I will repay. See such a person, at a dying hour, when conscious guilt the soul doth overpower, when death tears off the thick film from her eyes, and sweeps away her refuges of lies, the sand-built system cannot stand the shock, false reared on shattered reason's broken rock, down falls the tower of self-sufficiency, and all within, chaos and uncertainty. The soul is well nigh bordering on despair. Forked to remove, and go, she knows not where. In terror driven upon its vast frontiers, eternity sounds dreadful in her ears, trembling she stands, upon its boundless brink, and quite incapable to act or think. Cited by conscience to his awful bar, with whom her life has been open at war. That monitor will be no more suppressed, but speaks terrific language in the breast. Points to a powerful and incensed God, and thence doth very fearful things forebode. Truly deplorable is such a case, from which religion can alone release. Naught but well-grounded hope, and heaven-born faith can bear through ills of life, or sweeten death. When that dread monarch comes and frowns arrayed, nature shrinks back, confounded and dismayed, nor is it strange for death is nature's foe, dissolving every tender tie below, but when his icy hand the heart-blood chills, when bodily and mental pain assails, and every source of earthly comfort fails, true faith in Christ will then its hold maintain, and in that conflict will the soul sustain. Opens bright prospects, and doth plainly show that death, at worst, is now a conquered foe. Teaches to follow him who once did brave, nay, triumphed over and subdued the grave. If in that hour the Saviour grant relief, as long before to the expiring thief, and whisper in the gospel's cheering voice, today thou wilt be with me in paradise. How will the soul, then elevated high above this planet, hail its native sky? And though a darksome valley lies between, each promise is a staff whereon to lean. Dust to its fellow dust doth fearless lend, and joyful flies eternity to spend, long fellow saints on high, at God's right hand. Oh! Glorious exit, from a world of pain, to where, nor guilt, nor sorrow, enter can, their state of trial happily is past, and let me recollect while mine doth last, to order so my conduct well in this, as to obtain a life of endless bliss. Since health and strength our seasons then most meet, to make our peace with heaven sure and complete. Let not the sliding of such golden times be added to the number of my crimes, but of ourselves we nothing can acquire, no. Not so much as form one good desire. May God's good Spirit then my soul inspire, to apply to Jesus, a physician fit, the Saviour gracious and compassionate, who will, with open arms of love, embrace returning penitents, won by his grace, accept free mercy on the offered plan, at infinite expense prepared for man. The gospel call doth well my right ensure, come all who will and drink life's water pure. None are excluded, high and low the same, have to their Maker's favor equal claim, though none can merit, all may humbly crave what's freely promised, hoping to receive. Oh! Thou who wilt not turn away thine ear, but listen to the needy's prayer sincere. Look then upon me in my lost estate, thy fullness to my wants accommodate, impute to me a righteousness divine, else everlasting misery will be mine. In each vicissitude and wildering maze, keep from arraigning thy most perfect ways, for what is good thou only dost bestow, all that is evil from ourselves doth flow. With love to thee, oh! Do my bosom warm. Goodwill to all that bear the human form. My heart and its affections wholly draw, and hold in due subjection to thy law. So as thou canst approve, direct my way, else will this perverse heart far from thee stray. Unnumbered vanities lie lurking here, which, in unguarded moments, oft appear, leaving a sting behind sharp and severe. No power, sin to withstand, is mine I own, oh! Let almighty power in me be shown, and snatch me as a firebrand from the flame, raise a new monument to mercy's name. A fact recorded in the Evangelical Magazine, for July 1812. Lately I heard a paper read, oh! Were it blessed to me for good? I felt it as the writer did, and awful horror chilled my blood. For criminals were to justice brought, but none of them of hardened mind, they viewed their state as sinners ought, and were to serious thoughts inclined. Of every comfort long deprived, in gloomy dungeon they did moan, at last the dreadful day arrived, when life must for their crimes atone. When standing on the scaffold boards, the gazing multitude to teach, each made in solemn warning words, a simple, but impressive, speech. Entreating all to shun each crime, which God and man have doomed to wrath, which leads to punishment in time, and tends to everlasting death. If once associates in guilt, now friends in sad affliction, they, to press each other's hands they felt, before the scaffold boards gave way. Oh! Let me hasten to a close, poor Atkinson in turning round, the shifting rope did so dispose, that death long sought could not be found. Hanging in air, oh! Dreadful state! He uttered a most piercing cry, his words were, awful to relate. O God! O God! I cannot die. The sufferer was soon relieved, 'twas merciful to speed his doom, but be this truth by all believed, for all of us may bring it home. Yes, we immortal souls possess, whoever may this truth deny winky face. Which shall in endless woe, or bliss, for ever live, and cannot die. Proud infidel, be mute, nor longer injured heathen incense, lest awful vengeance thee refute, and hurry thee blaspheming hence, to where thou lt own, but too late, that all thy boasting was a lie, for ever fixed, thy dismal state, live, feel thou must, but cannot die. Even wert thou right, where is thy gain? When thou art nothing, all is lost, in drear annihilation's reign, will it be known how big thy boast? But wrong, oh think, what fury breaks, on miserable thee to fall, and error there, of all mistakes, will dreadful be, and past recall. Oh trust the word of truth revealed, and testimony of the good, the sacred book to thee is sealed, and mocked, because not understood. Stout-hearted man, let pride no more, or vice estrange thy soul from God. Improve his word, his grace implore, 'tis promised and will be bestowed. Oh! Thou who kindly lead'st the blind, in ways themselves could never trace, in mercy guide each humble mind, and teach the path to endless peace, it will enhance the boundless bliss, of all whose names are wrote on high, that they shall ever see thy face, in love, assured they cannot die. A complaint to Poesy, addressed to a young man about to leave this part of the country. Why thoughtful even in company, and always sad when left alone? I will complain to Poesy, whose tears with mine have often flown. To thee sweet nymph, I will impart my various feelings as they rise, thy votary thou wilt not desert, like others whom my heart doth prize. Adieu. My dearest friend, adieu. Since here you will not stay, my heart's best wishes rest with you, though 4 times 50 miles away. This beating heart's susceptible, of friendship pure it has a sense, and while that natural principle is not entirely banished hence, still faithful memory will present, when gone is many a tedious year, the hours we've all together spent, and cause a pleasing, painful tear, soft sympathy. The name is dear, I mention it with gratitude, doth in each breast for me appear, with that be satisfied I should. But sad I see, when you depart, the number of my friends decrease, I feel a taste of future smart, which oft I fear to feel like this. If life prolonged to age be mine, all now so loved may then be gone, then who will cheer in life's decline? I'll ne'er know such as I have known. But why to Poesy complain? Will not the plain impartial muse assume her power, and me a reign, of selfish ends, of selfish views? She in this manner doth reprove, conceal such sentiments as thine, if fortune favors those we love, should we because of that repine? You wrong me I did sighing say, do not misunderstand me so, become of C, whatever may, 'twill give her pleasure that to know. But my heart has many a fear, avert which, he then, I thee implore, I dread yon town's unwholesome air, but dread its bad example moored, oh! May all watchful Providence, still guard from every sinful snare, preserve in health and innocence, you making its peculiar care. A sober, pious, harmless life maintain, and keep its end in view, which soon, or late, will sure arrive, then what is all this world to you? Let atheists at religion laugh, and libertines live as they list, but on a deathbed who can scoff, God then in fear will be confessed. Rejoice young man in days of youth, thine heart with every folly cheer, but know, all these, as true as truth, in after judgment must appear. To Israel thus the sacred page, but wrote for our instruction too, it speaks to youth in every age, and now my friend it cautions you. With vigorous health your bosom glows, false dazzling views elate your soul, brisk through each vein life's current flows, each passion apt to spurn control. But oh! Let timely counsel warn, while yet I hope no friend to vice, from wisdom's pathway never turn, though folly should with smiles entice. Be serious, prudent, circumspect, shun pleasure's fascinating lure, and oh! May heaven your heart direct, to all that's virtuous, good, and pure. Consider boyish years are flown, endeavor manhood so to spend, as honor strict may fairly own, conscience approve, and heaven commend. And then though slander aim her darts, your reputation fair to wound, still truth will triumph o'er her arts, her dark designs dash and confound. The sober will such worth admire, and wealth on diligence attends, fame, fortune, will I hope conspire, to gain you many valued friends. And pleasing circles will adorn your hearth, to cheer each hour of rest, each night close calm as rose the morn, each day be happy as the past. Heaven's favor heightens every joy, makes every comfort taste more sweet, but vice doth every bliss destroy, followed by fear, shame, and regret. But even should adverse fortune frown, troubles assail, no friend remain, God never can forsake his own, but all who trust him will sustain. If bitters in life's cup are mixed, 'tis from this world their hearts to wean, to qualify them for the next, where bliss complete cures every pain. That this may be your happy lot, and oh! How happy none can tell, has oft employed her earnest thought, who sighing says, dear youth, farewell. Versification of Ossian's address to the moon. Daughter of heaven! Fair art thou, the brightness of thy face is pleasant to the traveller's view, when darkness flies apace. The stars attend thy azure steps, and murky clouds, oh! Moon, sport in thy beams, their brightening shapes, rejoicing as at noon. Night's lovely daughter in the sky, who doth like thee preside, the stars ashamed thy presence fly, their sparkling eyes to hide. But where dost thou thyself repair, when dark thy countenance grows? Hast thou a hall like Ossian, where grief's shadows thee enclose? Fell thy fair sisters from the skies, that nightly shone before? They in thy presence did rejoice, and are they now no more? Yes. They are fallen. Oh! Fairest light! Who did thy path adorn, and thou dost oft retire from sight, thy loss of friends to mourn. But thou thyself shalt one night fail, nor more in heaven appear, then stars that shrunk before thee pale, with joy their heads shall rear. Yet, while with brightest beams begirt, look from thy lofty gate, oh! Burst ye winds that cloud apart, let her appear in state. The shaggy mountains to illume, and make their summits bright, that azure waves midst ocean's gloom, may roll in rays of light. Balclutha's ruins, versified from Ossian. Raise, ye, my bards, said mighty Fingal, raise a mournful song, in sad Moina's praise, call to our hills her ghost with tuneful air, that she may rest in peace with Morven's fair. The sunbeams mild on other days that shone, delights of ancient heroes long since gone. I've seen Balclutha's walls, but they are sad, and dreary desolation round them spread, the ruinous fire had rioted in the hall, the people's voice is heard no more at all, and Clutha's course was altered by the fall, and there the thistle shook its lonely head, through withered moss the wind a whistling made, the skulking fox did from the window look, and rank the tufted grass around him shook, such is the dwelling of Moina now, the habitation of her fathers low. Then raise ye bards, a sweetly mournful strain, and o'er the stranger's land in song complain, they only fell a little as before, we too must one day fall and be no more. Why build the hall, son of the winged days? Or why with toil a stately fabric raise? Today thou lookest from thy tower elate, yet a few years, for lo! How short the date! Then desert blasts howl in thy empty court, and whistle round thy shield in seeming sport, and come thou desert blast, with howling sound, we in our little day shall be renowned, still shall be heard our deeds in battles past, and in the song of bards our name shall last, when thou shalt fail, oh! Son of heaven so bright! If thou indeed must fail, thou mighty light. If thou, like me, but for a season art, our fame shall live when thy last beams depart. Another extract from Ossian. From grief a kind of joy doth flow, when peace is in the breast, some minds indulge themselves in woe, and love to be distressed. Although, by sad remembrance pained, the heart still holds it dear, the soft sensation is retained, though causing many a tear. But sorrow wastes the mournful soul, its joyless days are few, whose heart of settled sadness full bids cheerfulness adieu, a willing stranger to delight, it wastes in early bloom, like flowers which nightly mildews blight, and scorching suns consumed. The flower it bends its heavy head, the killing drops to drink, so does the mind to pleasure dead, in cherished sorrow. Sink. But grief doth such in secret waste, their fleeting days are few, whose minds by settled gloom possessed, bid cheerfulness adieu. A petition to a medical gentleman. Would, sir, that I could win your ear, a favor is petitioned here, though much you have already done, yet bear with one request from me, your patient, now, I fain would be, if granted so desert a boon, a plan might be Davies that would be blessed, who knows, to do me good. And, oh, it were a happy thing. 'Twould greatly better my condition, spread your fame as a physician, double pleasure thence would spring. Not that I mean your skills denied, if so, I had not first applied, much less my pleading now renew, but curing such a stubborn case, your usefulness would much increase, though fame should weigh but light with you. One kind to me before, now gone, did all that long could have been done, this lameness to prevent, and cure, but then my wavering constitution, more than now, was in confusion, and resisted medicine's power. One time I had a minute's talk, with you bout helping me to walk, but you declined so hard a task, and I was then, as at this day, so troublesome another way, I wanted courage more to ask. But measured lines possess a power, at least I've known it so before, they've gained a cause which else had failed, when told in truth's persuasive spirit, meaning well, though poor in merit, even such verses have prevailed, please, sir, let such prevail with you, and try what art and means can do, to make me walk though lame and slow, I think you nothing can propose, as process, regimen, or dose, but I will patient undergo, and after all if means are vain, I will not murmur, or complain, when both have done the best we may, do promise, once to make a trial, nor kill weak hope with a denial, and your petitioner will pray. Lines composed in the time of war. Ha! What's a your hurry my blithe laughing lassie? What makes you sae merry that's been sae lang way? Sae cheerily smiling, will pleased, and sae dressy, ye hae na been seen for this mony a day? Is Jamie come hame again frae the French prison? I read your looks that I haena guessed rang, said she, I'll no hide it, for frankly confessing, I hope now to see him afore it be lang. See here are twa letters frae him and my brither, they're baith to be here in a fortnight at maist, I'm gone the blithe tidings to tell Jamie's mither, sae that's just the cause o' my gladness and haste. I left her, and thought how destructive is fighting, contrived by nae guid to hand folk in a steer, keeps mony a body themselves I affrighting, for brither, friend, husband, or son, that is dear. Some wars on ae side hae been righted as granted, but ilk sober person's opinion runs thus, that war if possible, should be prevented, the wide world's wealth canna balance the loss. I'm no a deep-learned far-skilled politician, but common sense tells me that war is a fiend, spreading poverty, bloodshed, and fell desolation, sick havoc I heartily wish at an end. Sabella, a metrical tale. Near twilight, in a forest vast, which close tall trees did well adorn, surrounded by a heathy waste, where rang the deer with branched horn. No marks of culture there were shown, but passing Flora, from her lap, some borders had profusely strewn with seeds, and Phoebus nosed them up. An opening small the wood divides, where runs a rivulet crystal clear, and plants and flowers bedeck the sides, in all its windings far and near. Off either bank the blast toward, stand the straight oak and comely larch, the silent pathway's lofty guard, joined by the sweetly smelling birch. The falling dew they did imbibe, scent, beauty, freshness, to repair, and on their boughs, a plumy tribe poured sweetest wood notes on the air. Calm was the scene, not e'en a breath the smallest quivering leaf did shake, when slowly stepping o'er the heath, advanced a nymph of graceful make. When she approached to where the rill out of a little fountain rose, 'twas so inviting, soft, and still, its devious walk the damsel chose. Now said she, as she stepped along, this is a favorable place, to search what in me is so wrong, and ever robs me of my peace. My bosom is not torn with spite, nor dark revenge, nor fell remorse, no. What my youthful bloom doth blight, arises from another source. Credulity has been my wreck, too easy won by feigned regard, affection whispering, don't suspect, reflection's voice was not yet heard. Long blinded, I did long believe, was loath to think his heart so bad, as with such treachery to deceive, then basely slight a trusting maid. But long neglect has made me own his fondest vows were only feigned, he roves through fields to me unknown, nor one farewell epistle deigned. Now to some favorite fair he'll jest, and speak of me, with taunting scorn, oh! How this weakness I detest, and yet cannot forbear to mourn. My heart from everything around, displeased, dissatisfied, turns back. Cease cheerful birds. That echoing sound does still my forlorn mind distract. Thinking herself unseen, unheard, aloud her sad complaint began, when, leaning on his staff, appeared a venerable aged man. Daughter, he said, be not alarmed, pursue your walk, nor tremble so, at one, by 70 years disarmed, from being a formidable foe. I only in the forest stopped, as from my work I did retire, and these few faded branches lopped, a faggot for my lonely fire. By 70 years, replied the maid, whose looks much pity did express, and still must work, you sure have had uncommon family distress. Ah! Why recall that tender name? The old man with a sigh rejoined, forgive me, you are not to blame, 'tis never absent from my mind. Wouldst thou accompany so old a man as I'm to yonder bank, hear his advice, or history told? She said, for both I would you thank. Of good advice I'm much in want, sick of deceitful trifling youth, I'll hear the voice of age intent, and lend a willing ear to truth. I'll not inquisitive inquire, when seated, thus the sage began, the cause why you so much desire to wander from th abodes of man. Amidst the foliage enveloped, this much I both have heard and seen, by gestures and expressions dropped, your heart is pressed with anguish keen. Oh! Listen then while I relate the wasting griefs myself have known, not interesting to repeat, befell me till to manhood grown. I was arrived at age mature, before my honored parents died, a passion stronger but as pure, the place of filial love supplied. One night, my day's employment done, in twilight's pale but soothing rain, the busy world I wished to shun, and sought a long-neglected plain. The moon arose with cheering rays, I walked unlighted by the same, where oftentimes in boyish days, I with my mother went and came. Till by some secret impulse led, near to the margin of a fount, where a neat cottage rised its head, of no contemptible account. Its owner wealthy was and proud, had been a hero brave in youth, his daughter's praises fame sang loud, nor deviated from the truth. Her merits I had oft been told, had long esteemed the lovely maid, another feeling made me bold, and I its dictates quick obeyed. Struck with a whimsical conceit, to try if welcome as a guest, I entered the half-opened gate. 9 times 5 years have not a fact, from memory, the sudden joy that then my raptured bosom felt. An object caught my eager eye, on which it long with pleasure dwelt. I saw the fair Amelia stand, midst her domestic maidens young, industrious was each busy hand, whilst to her side an orphan clung. Poor little child, she said, bereft of parents in thy tender years, but not an helpless outcast left, to break thine heart with sighs and tears. No. I will shield from want and cold, and teach thee all myself have known, virtue and truth to thee unfold, as far as light to me is shown. She stopped, I hastily returned, nor waited for a sentence more, durst not approach what I admired, but unobserved reached the door. Went home, but no amusement, then, could from my purpose make me swerve, I visited the maid again, and told my mind without reserve. She heard me with a patient ear, our families of old were one, suspended betwixt hope and fear. I listened, while she thus began, sincerity's engaging form, I love, admire, and reverence, its accents the affections warm, nor fail to win our confidence. Could I these protestations trust, my heart your suit would not disown, treat not this frankness with disgust, dissembling is to me unknown. Oh, to remember that blessed hour, my happiness seemed then complete, our mothers both long time before, friendship did more than blood unite. To wed the daughter of her friend, my mother wished me many a day, hers too the same would recommend, but still a bar was in our way. Her sire our union did prevent, and charged her ne'er to see me more. At last an unforeseen event robbed him of all his golden store, of which he boasted with delight, and winged with hope. To them I flew, his sentiments were altered quite, he owned Amelia was my due. That treasure then I did espouse, heaven soon recalled the precious pearl, two pledges of our faithful vows, she left an infant boy and girl. Their opening minds with care I reared, with learning suited to their birth, my son adventurous appeared, my daughter studied private worth. Some men their place of birth esteem, they prize its woods and mountains more than places which with plenty teem, of rarest fruits and richest ore. Not so, my son, for he to acquire a splendid fortune, so was bent, he left his home, his sister, sire, and to a land far distant went. By no endearing ties deterred, fair Caledonia he would leave, Columbia's fertile plains preferred, for them encountered wind and wave. I letters wrote from time to time, entreating that he would return, at last I learned that foreign clime had brought him to an early urn. The darling of my anxious cares, my daughter too was in decline, but hid her pains, restrained her tears, concealed her grief to comfort mine. While slow consumptive symptoms wore, I saw her like a lily drop, and death relentless from me tore my last remaining earthly prop. Relations now to own refuse, because they know that at my death, to raise their mercenary views, I have no riches to bequeath. To summer's sun and winter's storm, this tottering frame I must expose, when feeble hands and limbs infirm, plead loud for ease and soft repose, but not at heaven's all-wise decree, should we once murmur in the least, a little longer, then we'll be where no afflicting cares infest. These birds to their Creator's throne, send up, of praise, a willing rent, and should we, as it were, lock on with peevish fretful discontent, we're more indebted far than they, with reason's light we are endowed, and many favors every day, are bounteously on us bestowed. The current of this little brook, a picture does of time convey, ere we a moment thereon look, the silent water glides away. To us what lesson does it speak? Time plainly whispers in our ear, beyond my bounds your thoughts direct, 'tis shadow here, 'tis substance there. The nightly shades now falling fast, perhaps I ne'er will see you more. He said, her hand then softly pressed, may heaven your wonted peace restore. Once more indulge me, said the fair, and lead me to your humble home, my every wish is centered there, respecting all this side the tomb. My youthful hopes have all expired, oh let me come with you to live, in station of a servant hered, my best assistance you shall have. His utmost eloquence was used, from such wild fancies to dissuade. With faltering voice, and eyes suffused with tears, returned the weeping maid, no aged parents of my own, or friends now my assistance claim, and temperate or torrid zone, to poor Sibella is the same. Fearing her intellects deranged, he with reluctance let her go, but soon this rash opinion chonged, her conduct showed it was not so. She called him father, when that name again soft sounded in his ear, he her embraced, and did exclaim, heaven bless thee, O my daughter dear. A parent's duties I'll fulfill, whilst heaven is pleased my life to spare. It is enough, she said, I will endeavor to deserve your care. With everything convenient, she comforted his hours of rest, a pleasing calm, if not content, at length possessed her youthful breast. He taught her lore from many a page, for ancient books he knew full well, of history grave in every age, how empires rose and how they fell. And here let the narrator pause, who much admires the pleasant sight, one evening thus employed he was, and she attending with delight, a youth advanced across the vale, declared himself the old man's son, and oh, remarkable to tell, Sibella's lover both in one. Not to be tedious or minute, an explanation soon took place, the youth renewed his former suit, but was refused with modest grace. I'll leave this house, my master will, she said, no longer want my care. Both sire and son to entreaties fell, and a third pleader too was there. Affection, far from being extinct, now rose a powerful foe to pride, what could she speak, or act, or think, she smiled consented, was his bride. The sire, 80 and 10 years old, his faculties not much impaired, grandchildren did with joy behold, then died in peace, loved and revered. Song, on leaving the country for the town. Ye shrubs, and blooming flowers, all decked in richest pride, I'll sing amidst your foliage, in you I can confide. But yonder tall plantation is not a friend so true, for there will telltale echo, repeat each word anew. Fair smiling infant nature, again salutes the eye, each leaf and flower expanding, and all in beauty vie. Bud on ye tender blossoms, in vernal breezes wave, some other maid will praise you, though I these beauties leave. Spring once thy scented verdure, with pleasure I surveyed, and music of the woodlands has made my bosom glad. No more through flowery meadows, delighted now I range, but for scenes not so enticing, would all these charms exchange. Yes, yonder crowded city, with all its bustling noise, in place of your mild silence, is now become my choice. O hope! What sweet sensations thy promises do give! But oft, alas! Though winning, thy brightest smiles deceive. Song, in answer to I'm wearin' awa Jean. Oh! You are happy now, Joe. Your care is a through Joe. Nae pain reaches you in the land o' the leal. Our lassie wan awa Joe. Nor muckle sorrow saw Joe. Now I mourn twa in the land o' the leal. But a is guid and will Joe. Though nature it maun feel Joe. Ilk pain will be heal in the land o' the leal. My locks are thin and grey Joe. My powers fast decay Joe. I'm laith lang to stay, fae the land o' the leal. But my tears drap in vain Joe. Elaine I maun remain Joe. Till we meet again in the land o' the leal. Though trouble here us tries Joe. 'Tis blessing in disguise Joe. To mak us mair prize the land o' the leal. Farewell to Perth. Adieu. Pleasant Perth, all thy parts one admire, thy domes, and rich buildings, in every fine street, thy bridge, and thy churches, with each lofty spire, Taes meads, and green isles, make thy beauty complete. Of old in thy bosom, though kings once resided, thou art now even more splendid by commerce increased, with wise regulations, and rulers provided, where arts are encouraged, and learning, and taste, though much has of late, for the poor been collected, ye affluent, think still, what must many endure, uncovered from cold, and with want sore dejected, your own cup being brimful, oh! Think of the poor. So may your fine city, still more and more flourish, and trade spreading plenty, again soon return, with anxious remembrance, this wish I will cherish, when far distant from it, reluctantly born. Yes, I'll think of thee Perth, not for thy gay splendor, but sweet were the times that in thee I have seen, the memory of which will remain soft and tender, though twixt me and thee many miles intervene. In some distant valley, by some pleasant fountain, where linnets and larks warble sweet in the spring, while sounds plaintive echo from rocks, grove, or mountain, of Perth, when unseen, often sad I will sing. Song, in answer to O Nanny wilt thou gang wi me? No. Sandy, I will never gang, ye'll trudge through life alane for me, for aft a wife maun thole the rang, and I sick skaith will never dree. I'll busk missile as neats I can, and claes becoming me will wear, though ne'er admired by ony man, or flattered, fairest of the fair. When far awa frae kith and kin, I'd cast a look behind, I ween, for you to change might soon begin, and dwine in fondness die wi spleen. Puir Nanny's tender form would sink, if bound your cauldrife looks to bear, just now's the time for her to think, though flattered, fairest of the fair. Weak woman can misfortunes brave, to man in straits is aft a friend, that's right, a friend, but not a slave. 'Twere silly to descend so mean. Some clowns in health do women scorn, but I in sickness claim their care, sick deem our sex their servants born, we spurn the thought baith brown and fair. Yet should you wide mischanters meet, and under pain or porteth bow, I'm no saifu o deadly hate, but I would help to succor you. Your grave I dinna wish to see, nor strew, nor gather flowers there, live if you can to bury me, ants flattered, fairest of the fair. Evening Reflections. While musing upon many a change, reflecting thought inclines present ideas, to arrange in these few simple lines, which unremembered will decay, no higher is their aim, the liker to their author they, who'll shortly do the same. But why one sigh at being forgot, A maid more fair and gay perhaps has trod this peaceful spot, whose very name's away, who in this lower world did share, like me, its joy and grief, but from misfortune, pain, and care, hath long since found relief. Let fancy for a moment wait, to view that fair unknown, more early she, and I more late, have wandered here alone. What? Though imagination paints her but of mean estate, her views when humble, few her wants, nor wishing to be great. Why such a wish? For now her bones as peacefully do rest as theirs, who once filled regal thrones, or Indian minds possessed. Perfection in this lower state, both mortal reach we see, but serious minds, humane, and sweet, are found in each degree. And wheresoever these appear, in high or low, they still a heavenly origin declare, and shine most beautiful. Shine, not with ostentation's blaze, applauding eye to lure, their actions court not empty praise, but flow from motives pure. This conduct is a scene of peace, free from discordant noise, and such a character might grace the sister of my choice. Though Nat rallied to sadness bent, yet soft, sedate, and mild, she with the mirthful did lament, she with the cheerful smiled. Such meek and placid innocence, pure seraphs would respect, but 'mong this globe's inhabitants, it only found neglect. Not mentioned by the mouth of fame, nor by reproach assailed, from both, her inoffensive frame, the grave completely veiled. Ah! Friendly fair! Whose dust so small, with mine may soon be mixed, she's only fallen, and I must fall, the sure decree is fixed. Since life's so short, and death so sure, so transient every joy, let us that real good secure, which death cannot destroy. Finus. Transcribers' notes, obvious printers, punctuation and spelling errors have been corrected silently. End of the Project Gutenberg ebook. A new selection of miscellaneous pieces. In verse updated editions will replace the previous one, the old editions will be renamed. Creating the works from print editions not protected by U.S. copyright law means that no one owns a United States copyright in these works, so the Foundation, and you, can copy and distribute it in the United States without permission and without paying copyright royalties. Special rules, set forth in the general terms of use part of this license, apply to copying and distributing Project Gutenberg electronic works to protect the Project Gutenberg concept and trademark. Project Gutenberg is a registered trademark, and may not be used if you charge for an ebook, except by following the terms of the trademark license, including paying royalties for use of the Project Gutenberg trademark. If you do not charge anything for copies of this ebook, complying with the trademark license is very easy. You may use this ebook for nearly any purpose such as creation of derivative works, reports, performances and research. Project Gutenberg ebooks may be modified and printed and given away. You may do practically anything in the United States with ebooks not protected by U.S. copyright law. Redistribution is subject to the trademark license, especially commercial redistribution. Start. Full license. The full Project Gutenberg license. Please read this before you distribute or use this work to protect the Project Gutenberg mission of promoting the free distribution of electronic works, by using or distributing this work, or any other work associated in any way with the phrase Project Gutenberg. You agree to comply with all the terms of the full Project Gutenberg license available with this file or online at www.gutenberg.org/license. Section 1. General Terms of Use and Redistributing Project Gutenberg Electronic Works 1.a. By reading or using any part of this Project Gutenberg electronic work, you indicate that you have read, understand, agree to and accept all the terms of this license and intellectual property, trademark/copyright, agreement. If you do not agree to abide by all the terms of this agreement, you must cease using and return or destroy all copies of Project Gutenberg electronic works in your possession. If you paid a fee for obtaining a copy of or access to a Project Gutenberg electronic work and you do not agree to be bound by the terms of this agreement, you may obtain a refund from the person or entity to whom you paid the fee as set forth in paragraph 1.e.8. 1.b. Project Gutenberg is a registered trademark. It may only be used on or associated in any way with an electronic work by people who agree to be bound by the terms of this agreement. There are a few things that you can do with most Project Gutenberg electronic works even without complying with the full terms of this agreement. See paragraph 1.c below. There are a lot of things you can do with Project Gutenberg electronic works if you follow the terms of this agreement and help preserve free future access to Project Gutenberg electronic works. See paragraph 1.e below. 1.c. The Project Gutenberg Literary Archive Foundation, the Foundation or PGLAF, owns a compilation copyright in the collection of Project Gutenberg electronic works. Nearly all the individual works in the collection are in the public domain in the United States. If an individual work is unprotected by copyright law in the United States and you are located in the United States, we do not claim a right to prevent you from copying, distributing, performing, displaying, or creating derivative works based on the work as long as all references to Project Gutenberg are removed. Of course, we hope that you will support the Project Gutenberg mission of promoting free access to electronic works by freely sharing Project Gutenberg works in compliance with the terms of this agreement for keeping the Project Gutenberg name associated with the work. You can easily comply with the terms of this agreement by keeping this work in the same format with its attached full Project Gutenberg license when you share it without charge with others. 1.d. The copyright laws of the place where you are located also govern what you can do with this work. Copyright laws in most countries are in a constant state of change. If you are outside the United States, check the laws of your country in addition to the terms of this agreement before downloading, copying, displaying, performing, distributing or creating derivative works based on this work or any other Project Gutenberg work. The Foundation makes no representations concerning the copyright status of any work in any country other than the United States. 1.e. Unless you have removed all references to Project Gutenberg. 1.e.1. The following sentence, with active links to, or other immediate access to, the full Project Gutenberg license must appear prominently whenever any copy of a Project Gutenberg work, any work on which the phrase Project Gutenberg appears, or with which the phrase Project Gutenberg is associated, is accessed, displayed, performed, viewed, copied or distributed. This ebook is for the use of anyone anywhere in the United States and most other parts of the world at no cost and with almost no restrictions whatsoever. You may copy it, give it away or reuse it under the terms of the Project Gutenberg license included with this ebook or online at www.gutenberg.org. If you are not located in the United States, you will have to check the laws of the country where you are located before using this ebook. 1.e.2. If an individual Project Gutenberg electronic work is derived from texts not protected by U.S. copyright law, does not contain a notice indicating that it is posted with permission of the copyright holder, the work can be copied and distributed to anyone in the United States without paying any fees or charges. If you are redistributing or providing access to a work with the phrase Project Gutenberg associated with or appearing on the work, you must comply either with the requirements of paragraphs 1.e.1 through 1.e.7 or obtain permission for the use of the work and the Project Gutenberg trademark as set forth in paragraphs 1.e.8 or 1.e.9. 1.e.3. If an individual Project Gutenberg electronic work is posted with the permission of the copyright holder, your use and distribution must comply with both paragraphs 1.e.1 through 1.e.7 and any additional terms imposed by the copyright holder. Additional terms will be linked to the Project Gutenberg license for all works posted with the permission of the copyright holder found at the beginning of this work. 1.e.4. Do not unlink or detach or remove the full Project Gutenberg license terms from this work, or any files containing a part of this work or any other work associated with Project Gutenberg. 1.e.5. Do not copy, display, perform, distribute or redistribute this electronic work, or any part of this electronic work, without prominently displaying the sentence set forth in paragraph 1.e.1 with active links or immediate access to the full terms of the Project Gutenberg license. 1.e.6. You may convert to and distribute this work in any binary, compressed, marked up, non-proprietary or proprietary form, including any word processing or hypertext form. However, if you provide access to or distribute copies of a Project Gutenberg work in a format other than plain vanilla ASCII or other format used in the official version posted on the official Project Gutenberg website, www.gutenberg.org, you must, at no additional cost, fee or expense to the user, provide a copy, a means of exporting a copy, or a means of obtaining a copy upon request, of the work in its original, plain vanilla ASCII or other form. Any alternate format must include the full Project Gutenberg license as specified in paragraph 1.e.1. 1.e.7. Do not charge a fee for access to, viewing, displaying, performing, copying or distributing any Project Gutenberg works unless you comply with paragraph 1.e.8 or 1.e.9. 1.e.8. You may charge a reasonable fee for copies of or providing access to or distributing Project Gutenberg electronic works provided that you pay a royalty fee of 20% of the gross profits you derive from the use of Project Gutenberg works calculated using the method you already use to calculate your applicable taxes. The fee is owed to the owner of the Project Gutenberg trademark, but he has agreed to donate royalties under this paragraph to the Project Gutenberg Literary Archive Foundation. Royalty payments must be paid within 60 days following each date on which you prepare, or are legally required to prepare, your periodic tax returns. Royalty payments should be clearly marked as such and sent to the Project Gutenberg Literary Archive Foundation at the address specified in Section 4, Information about donations to the Project Gutenberg Literary Archive Foundation. You provide a full refund of any money paid by a user who notifies you in writing, or by email, within 30 days of receipt that he does not agree to the terms of the full Project Gutenberg license. You must require such a user to return or destroy all copies of the works possessed in a physical medium and discontinue all use of and all access to other copies of Project Gutenberg works. You provide, in accordance with paragraph 1.f.3, a full refund of any money paid for a work or a replacement copy, if a defect in the electronic work is discovered and reported to you within 90 days of receipt of the work. You comply with all other terms of this agreement for free distribution of Project Gutenberg works. 1.e.9. If you wish to charge a fee or distribute a Project Gutenberg electronic work or group of works on different terms than are set forth in this agreement, you must obtain permission in writing from the Project Gutenberg Literary Archive Foundation, the manager of the Project Gutenberg trademark. Contact the Foundation as set forth in Section 3 below. 1.f.1. Project Gutenberg volunteers and employees expend considerable effort to identify, do copyright research on, transcribe and proofread works not protected by U.S. copyright law in creating the Project Gutenberg collection. Despite these efforts, Project Gutenberg electronic works, and the medium on which they may be stored, may contain defects, such as, but not limited to, incomplete, inaccurate or corrupt data, transcription errors, a copyright or other intellectual property infringement, a defective or damaged disk or other medium, a computer virus, or computer codes that damage or cannot be read by your equipment. 1.f.2. Limited warranty. Disclaimer of damages except for the right of replacement or refund described in paragraph 1.f.3, the Project Gutenberg Literary Archive Foundation, the owner of the Project Gutenberg trademark, and any other party distributing a Project Gutenberg electronic work under this agreement, disclaim all liability to you for damages, costs, and expenses, including legal fees. You agree that you have no remedies for negligence, strict liability, breach of warranty or breach of contract except those provided in paragraph 1.f.3. You agree that the Foundation, the trademark owner, and any distributor under this agreement will not be liable to you for actual, direct, indirect, consequential, punitive or incidental damages even if you give notice of the possibility of such damage. 1.f.3. Limited right of replacement or refund. If you discover a defect in this electronic work within 90 days of receiving it, you can receive a refund of the money, if any, you paid for it by sending a written explanation to the person you received the work from. If you received the work on a physical medium, you must return the medium with your written explanation. The person or entity that provided you with the defective work may elect to provide a replacement copy in lieu of a refund. If you received the work electronically, the person or entity providing it to you may choose to give you a second opportunity to receive the work electronically in lieu of a refund. If the second copy is also defective, you may demand a refund in writing without further opportunities to fix the problem. 1.f.4. Except for the limited right of replacement or refund set forth in paragraph 1.f.3, this work is provided to UASIS, with no other warranties of any kind, express or implied, including but not limited to warranties of merchantability or fitness for any purpose. 1.f.5. Some states do not allow disclaimers of certain implied warranties or the exclusion or limitation of certain types of damages. If any disclaimer or limitation set forth in this agreement violates the law of the state applicable to this agreement, the agreement shall be interpreted to make the maximum disclaimer or limitation permitted by the applicable state law. The invalidity or unenforceability of any provision of this agreement shall not void the remaining provisions. 1.f.6. Indemnity. You agree to indemnify and hold the foundation, the trademark owner, any agent or employee of the foundation, anyone providing copies of Project Gutenberg electronic works in accordance with this agreement, and any volunteers associated with the production, promotion, and distribution of Project Gutenberg electronic works, harmless from all liability, costs, and expenses, including legal fees, that arise directly or indirectly from any of the following which you do or cause to occur. A. Distribution of this or any Project Gutenberg work. B. Alteration, modification, or additions or deletions to any Project Gutenberg work, and C. Any defect you cause. Section 2. Information about the mission of Project Gutenberg. Project Gutenberg is synonymous with the free distribution of electronic works in formats readable by the widest variety of computers, including obsolete, old, middle-aged, and new computers. It exists because of the efforts of hundreds of volunteers and donations from people in all walks of life. Volunteers and financial support to provide volunteers with the assistance they need are critical to reaching Project Gutenberg's goals and ensuring that the Project Gutenberg collection will remain freely available for generations to come. In 2001, the Project Gutenberg Literary Archive Foundation was created to provide a secure and permanent future for Project Gutenberg and future generations. To learn more about the Project Gutenberg Literary Archive Foundation and how your efforts and donations can help, see Sections 3 and 4 and the Foundation information page at www.gutenberg.org. Section 3. Information about the Project Gutenberg Literary Archive Foundation. The Project Gutenberg Literary Archive Foundation is a nonprofit 501(c)(3) educational corporation organized under the laws of the state of Mississippi and granted tax-exempt status by the Internal Revenue Service. The Foundation's EIN or Federal Tax Identification Number is 64-6221541. Contributions to the Project Gutenberg Literary Archive Foundation are tax-deductible to the full extent permitted by U.S. federal laws and your state's laws. The Foundation's business office is located at 809 North 1500 West, Salt Lake City, Utah, 84116-801-596-1887. Email contact links and up-to-date contact information can be found at the Foundation's website and official page at www.gutenberg.org/contact. Section 4. Information about donations to the Project Gutenberg Literary Archive Foundation. Project Gutenberg depends upon and cannot survive without widespread public support and donations to carry out its mission of increasing the number of public domain and licensed works that can be freely distributed in machine-readable form accessible by the widest array of equipment, including outdated equipment. Many small donations, $1 to $5,000, are particularly important to maintaining tax-exempt status with the IRS. The Foundation is committed to complying with the laws regulating charities and charitable donations in all 50 states of the United States. Compliance requirements are not uniform and it takes a considerable effort, much paperwork, and many fees to meet and keep up with these requirements. We do not solicit donations in locations where we have not received written confirmation of compliance. To send donations or determine the status of compliance for any particular state, visit www.gutenberg.org/donate. While we cannot and do not solicit contributions from states where we have not met the solicitation requirements, we know of no prohibition against accepting unsolicited donations from donors in such states who approach us with offers to donate. International donations are gratefully accepted, but we cannot make any statements concerning tax treatment of donations received from outside the United States. U.S. laws alone swamp our small staff. Please check the Project Gutenberg web pages for current donation methods and addresses. Donations are accepted in a number of other ways, including checks, online payments, and credit card donations. To donate, please visit www.gutenberg.org/donate. Section 5. General information about Project Gutenberg Electronic Works. Professor Michael S. Hart was the originator of the Project Gutenberg concept of a library of electronic works that could be freely shared with anyone. For 40 years, he produced and distributed Project Gutenberg ebooks with only a loose network of volunteer support. Project Gutenberg ebooks are often created from several printed editions, all of which are confirmed as not protected by copyright in the U.S. unless a copyright notice is included. Thus, we do not necessarily keep ebooks in compliance with any particular paper edition. Most people start at our website, which has the main PG search facility, www.gutenberg.org. This website includes information about Project Gutenberg, including how to make donations to the Project Gutenberg Literary Archive Foundation, how to help produce our new ebooks, and how to subscribe to our email newsletter to hear about new ebooks.